Tom Brady saying there's only one current quarterback who reminds him of himself, and naming Patrick Mahomes feels like both a compliment and a roadmap. It's a compliment because Brady doesn't hand out that kind of praise lightly. It's a roadmap because when Brady compares anyone to himself, he's really describing a specific constellation of traits: obsessive preparation, cold-blooded competitiveness, ability to lift everyone around him, and a knack for delivering in the biggest moments. Reading that quote, you don't just hear admiration. You hear a recognition that Mahomes ticks many of the same boxes, even if he arrives at them by a different route. Let's be blunt. Brady and Mahomes are not the same player. Brady's engine was built on meticulous routine, surgical decision-making, and an almost sociopathic attention to detail. Mahomes brings generational physical tools: arm talent, improvisational escapability, playmaking from awkward platforms that Brady never had. Where the comparison lands is at the intersection of excellence and daily habits. Brady points to who's willing to do whatever it takes to win. That is less about arm strength or mechanics and much more about mindset. The tiny daily edges, the refusal to be satisfied, the ability to make sacrifices so the team wins. Mahomes checks that box, and Brady is noticing. Why this matters culturally. When the undisputed GOAT nods to a current player, it changes the conversation. It's not just Mahomes is good, it becomes, implicitly, Mahomes is on the path to the sort of sustained greatness I value. That endorsement gives Mahomes added legitimacy in the court of football opinion, not because Brady is an arbiter, but because his criteria are well-defined: championships plus sustained peak plus ownership of team culture. For fans and pundits who obsess over historical placement, Brady's line nudges Mahomes from great modern quarterback toward all-time candidate, provided the rest of Mahomes' career aligns with the track record those labels require. There are concrete reasons Brady singled out Mahomes. First, Mahomes has shown the habit side of greatness. He prepares, he studies, he takes the work seriously. Second, he does the hard things in pressure moments, those game-defining 3rd and 15s, or the late-game improvisations that rely on rapid process and confidence. Third, he's already matched Brady on the one metric that matters most to gatekeepers: multiple Super Bowls as a starter. That's an empirical shorthand that tells Brady, this guy can get it done on the biggest stages. From the veteran's vantage point, those are huge check marks, but Brady's praise isn't a coronation, it's a challenge. Mahomes has to sustain it. Brady's greatest advantage was consistency across seasons, not flash in a single year brilliance, but the ability to keep winning at a high level for a decade plus. Mahomes' greatness so far is spectacular and in many ways more physically dynamic than Brady's ever was. The question now is longevity and adaptation. Can Mahomes evolve his game as defenses and scouting catch up? Can he keep the day-to-day habits that maintain peak performance for a decade? Brady's comment functions as a measuring stick. Mahomes is on the right track, but the road ahead remains long. It's worth considering the message this sends to other quarterbacks. Brady's quote implicitly draws a line. Many QBs can make plays, but very few build the relentless systems and daily disciplines that create dynasties. For the likes of Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and others, the implication is a friendly reminder and perhaps a blueprint. Hurts, for example, has shown the leadership and physical toughness component. Allen brings the arm and production. But Brady's standard is organizational ownership, getting teammates to buy the same daily habits. That's the soft skill that separates perennial contenders from single-season overachievers. There are team-level consequences, too. When your franchise QB earns Brady's nod, it changes how owners, front offices, and coaches view roster construction, coaching patience, and investment. The Chiefs already lean into that. They've built around Mahomes with aggressiveness in free agency and the draft, and Brady's statement justifies that strategy externally. Other organizations looking for a blueprint might study how Kansas City manages Mahomes' environment: play caller continuity, weaponry to match his skill set, smart load management, because the assertion is that environment plus work ethic equals dynasty potential. Finally, the comment feeds a larger narrative arc, the torch being passed. Brady's own era of dominance was defined by a particular kind of quarterback leadership. Naming Mahomes as similar is not an attempt to replicate Brady's career in Mahomes' likeness, but to acknowledge the rare few who combine elite talent with elite temperament. If Mahomes sustains his level, he won't be Brady 2.0. He'll be Mahomes, a different package with the same result: repeated team championships and a transcendent impact on the league. So what should fans watch for next? Look beyond the stats. Track Mahomes' postseason performances and how he responds to adversity. Watch Kansas City's organizational decisions around weapons and protection, and notice how Mahomes' routines evolve as he ages. The real test is not one prime season, it's a decade of prime seasons. Brady's praise is a prestigious nod, yes, but it's also a gauntlet. If Mahomes clears it, history will write that comparison not as an echo of Brady, but as proof of a new, equally dominant era. Tom Brady's praise for Patrick Mahomes isn't just another respectful nod from a retired legend. It's a high bar set in plain English by the man who defined modern quarterback greatness. On the Joel Klatt show, Brady said there's only one current NFL quarterback who reminds him of himself, and that quarterback is Mahomes. The compliment matters because Brady didn't single out Mahomes for arm strength, highlight reel plays, or gaudy stat lines. He singled him out for mindset, the daily habits, the willingness to do whatever it takes to win, and the leadership that lifts a whole organization. What Brady is identifying is more than physical talent. Plenty of quarterbacks throw bullets or make off-script magic. Fewer consistently build the cultural, emotional, and procedural infrastructure that sustains winning. Brady framed it as a distinction between who wants to win and who is willing to do everything it takes, meaning not only training, film study, and preparation, but the intangible work, setting standards, assuming responsibility, elevating teammates, and making choices in the locker room and meeting room that push the entire team forward. Why Mahomes fits that description is easy to see. He combines elite physical tools, range, velocity, and timing, with an obsessive attention to preparation. He studies tendencies, understands how to sequence an offense, and, critically, he invests in the people around him: coaches, coordinators, receivers, offensive line. The result is an organization that often appears dialed in because its leader demands clarity and execution. On the field, that shows up as calm in pressure moments, crisp reads against complex coverages, and the ability to make big plays when the game is on the line. Off the field, it looks like a quarterback who helps set the tone for work ethic and accountability. Brady's measured caveat about other QBs is also telling. There are a lot of high-ceiling players who still need to prove it at an organizational level. In other words, flashes of brilliance don't replace sustained leadership. A quarterback can have peak game heroics, but to earn Brady-level praise requires season-after-season ownership of a team's identity. That ownership includes empowering coaches, getting teammates on the same page, and demonstrating consistent habits that compound into championships. So who's on that radar next? A few names come naturally. Jalen Hurts brings the physicality and the winning mentality. His leadership and maturity have already translated into team success. Joe Burrow has elite pocket presence and an ironclad work ethic that drives Cincinnati's culture. Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, and C.J. Stroud each possess the tools and situational poise that could evolve into organizational leadership with time. But Brady's subtext is important. Talent alone won't do it. The next quarterback to earn his unequivocal respect will need to combine elite play with the day-in, day-out habits that elevate everyone else. The broader takeaway for NFL watchers is simple. Legacy-level acknowledgement is mostly about process, not highlight reels. Fans will debate throws and quarterback rankings until the season ends, but Brady's point reframes the conversation. The best quarterbacks don't just win games. They build cultures. They make the small, boring, repeatable choices that add up to championship runs. That's what Mahomes has done, and that's why Brady sees a bit of himself in the Kansas City Star. At the end of the day, the compliment is also a challenge. For the rest of the league's signal callers, it's a clear playbook. Be brilliant, yes, but be relentless in the daily work, in leadership, and in accountability. Do that, and you don't just have a great season. You might earn the kind of praise that separates the truly all-time from the very good.